So I recently made a video about how I feel like I wasted my 20s, and a lot of what I talked about was financial. But over time I was able to fix those mistakes and get to a comfortable position. So in this video I'm going to talk about those mistakes and what I did to fix those mistakes, set myself up for a better future. The first thing is clothing. So back in high school and college I spent a lot of money on clothes. I was interested in all the latest brands, all the high-end fashion, even though I didn't have the money for it. But it got particularly bad in college because I had school loans, and if any of you have been to college, you know that sometimes you get a refund from those loans. And instead of using that refund to pay off the loans, I will use that refund to go buy clothes and shoes. It was so bad, I remember it like yesterday. I had a part-time job and it was my first year in college. Once the semester was over and I got some of my refund check, I took my refund check and a little bit of money that I had saved up from working at a coffee shop, and I took the train to go to the mall. I went to the mall to go buy some Prada shoes with no real job and no real plan about how I was going to manage my money in the future. And this type of habit continued on through the years. So how did I fix that, and how do I approach clothes now? I started to realize that it's not always about just spending on the most expensive brand. The main thing that determines how the clothes look on you is really how they fit. So you can have some basic clothes and some basic brands, but they look really good on you because they fit well on you. I also changed how I buy my jeans. I used to spend a lot of money on high-end jeans, but now my favorites are Levi's 511. I love those jeans so much because of how they fit. Levi's are a timeless brand. But I will admit, the one thing that I still have a problem with at times is shoes. I like Nikes, I like having nice shoes, so I'm still working on that. But as far as the clothes, I keep it basic and I keep it simple. The next thing about it is where I get my clothes from. Before, I didn't have an issue going to these high-end stores and buying things full price. That is not the way to do it at all. There's so many ways to buy name brand clothes for cheaper, even on sites like eBay or Mercari. I know some people use Mercari to buy clothes as well. For example, on my Levi's, I never go to the actual Levi's store and buy my Levi's there. They cost like $69.50. I have that price memorized. But if I was to go on eBay, I can find these same Levi's, new with tags, unworn, and no defects for maybe $50 or sometimes even a little bit less, just because of the supply. It's a lot of people that have a lot of Levi's to sell, so it makes the price go down in the aftermarket. The next thing was getting a better job and a better income. Some of you know my story about how I was working in account management and I started learning software development for a year and to get into the software field, and that was one of the main things that changed my finances the most. Getting a better salary is the quickest way to try to get your finances in order. You hear a lot of talk about starting businesses and side hustles and things like that, and I'm all for that, but some of those can take a little bit of time. But when you want to increase your finances, the quickest and the most efficient way is really just trying to get a better job, because having a low income doesn't really give you a lot of flexibility. So even if you have to sacrifice some time to learn a new skill or to learn a new career, then it's definitely worth it, and I will focus on that first before you start trying to do, investing and saving and things like that, because it's hard to save money when you don't have money. The next thing is debt. I really grew up not really having a lot of respect and a lot of fear of debt. So when I was going through the time of paying off my school loans, I only looked at the minimum balance. If they told me that I owed $115, I would pay $115 and not a penny more. I didn't even look and see how much percentage was going to the interest versus to the principal. I had no idea. All I did was pay the money that was asked of me, so I didn't have anybody contacting me trying to see where their payment was. But obviously I started to learn that this was the worst idea ever, because I was spinning my wheels making payments but wasn't really making much progress as far as actually paying off the loan. So how did I fix this? The first thing is I married a girl that is all about finance, and she taught me the way of how to budget and how to handle debt and things like that. She's a genius. So she helped me to put together a budget, and I had each week that I was getting paid, every dollar was accounted for, every single one. So the first thing I did is I started to attack the loan with the highest interest rate. It didn't have the highest dollar amount, but it did have the highest interest rate. So I was really aggressive in taking care of that loan first. I made the minimum payments on all the other loans, but for the one that had the highest interest rate, I was more aggressive. So I started to make extra payments and double payments, and any extra money I had, it would go towards that loan. I mean, tax refunds, Christmas gifts, birthday gifts, anything extra was going to the loans. Once I got rid of that loan, I started on the debt snowball, and I started working my way down from each loan as far as interest rate and dollar amount. And I kept compounding all of this money, and over time I was able to pay off all my school loans and all my debt. But I won't lie and say this was easy. This was a time to where I had to reduce a lot of my spending. I had like 2 pairs of sneakers, a few pairs of jeans, not a lot of clothes at all. I was living a very minimal life. So in about 2 years, I was able to pay off about $58,000 in loans, and this was before I even got into the software field. I was making around $35,000 a year. So making this sacrifice was definitely worth it, because not having this debt brought a lot of flexibility stability, but the most important thing is it brought a lot of peace of mind. I'm not gonna make it seem like you can always avoid having debt, but what I learned throughout this time from paying off school loans is that if we do end up in a situation to where we have to get debt again, maybe if we want to move up to another home or something like that, we know how to approach it, and we know how to be aggressive to where you're not scared of it because you know exactly what you have to do if you get the debt. The next thing outside of increasing your income is starting some kind of side hustle. And I know you hear this term a lot, but it really does help. So when I first got into software, I mean, it was my very first software job, and I wasn't making a lot of money. I was actually pretty underpaid to be in software, but I wanted the position because I wanted to get into the career and get my foot in the door. My wife was pregnant at the time, and we were in a small apartment expecting the baby. I needed a way to make money quick, something that was a little bit sustainable. So I remembered like yesterday, I ended up seeing a post on Instagram and YouTube from Gary Vee, and he was talking about the flip challenge.
My big belief is this, my friends. The 2017 flip challenge is this.
Which is basically you take some things out of your home that you aren't using or you aren't wearing anymore, and you sell it on eBay to make some side money. Now what you do with that side money is kind of up to you. Some people just sold their things on eBay and they kept the side money and took care of some bills or some debt or something like that. Other people took that side money and reinvested it to try to create a flipping or a resale business, and that's what I chose to do. So just like I had that bad habit of buying all these clothes and sneakers, these were the same items that I started to sell on eBay. I had to learn about shipping, I had to learn about how to price items, how to handle customer service, but it helped me out a lot, and it helped me out in other ways outside of selling. And I took that money and I kept reinvesting it into other clothing items that I would find to resell again. So over time, I was able to build it into a steady source of income for me and my family, and I'm pretty proud of where we've gotten to by doing this. So if anybody is looking for a way to start making side money, I would definitely say start trying to sell some things that you aren't using or you aren't wearing anymore on eBay or a similar website, and keep reinvesting that money on anything that you like to sell. The next thing is being more intentional about how I invest money and how I invest into the stock market. One of my biggest mistakes was being reckless when I would invest into the stock market. I traded everything from penny stocks to options to big board stocks. I mean, I traded it all, and I had times to where I would make a lot of money in a quick amount of time, and then I would lose a lot of money in a quick amount of time. And it created this weird cycle of just ups and downs and happiness and sadness. And this was during the time when I wasn't having the best time in my career, and I was trying to just get rich quick. And I ended up spinning my wheels for some years by trying to make a lot of money in a short amount of time. But I started to finally wake up and see that that just wasn't the way to work in the stock market. I should have been patient and just investing monthly or weekly in some index funds to keep it very simple. If I would have spent that same amount of time being consistent and patient, I don't know where I would have been right now, because I wasted so much and lost so much by trying to get rich quick. So if you want to start investing into the stock market, if you want to start investing in anything, you have to be patient. It's very hard because you hear the stories about people getting rich quick and hitting home runs, but it's best to be patient. I remember when I was trading stock options and I had no idea about how to manage risk. If I had $3,000, I would spend $3,000 on the most risky investment, trading options. And that's how I was able to make a lot, but then by not having discipline, that was also how I was able to lose a lot. If you start investing, be patient, just choose an index fund or some index fund and just be consistent and watch it grow over time. So that's what I have for you in this video. If you like the video, please like the video and subscribe to the channel for more content like this.